Welcome back to the Complete Guide to Healthy Aging. I'm so glad you're here for episode 4. If you missed the previous episodes, we covered nutrition, heart health, and sleep, all foundational pieces of healthy aging. Today, we're exploring something just as important but often surrounded by fear and misunderstanding. Mental health and memory. Many people worrying that forgetfulness and memory decline are an inevitable part of getting older. But that's not the full picture. There's a lot you can do to protect your brain, sharpen your memory, and support your emotional well-being. Let's get started. Forgetting where you put your keys, struggling to recall a name, or losing your train of thought mid-sentence, these moments can be unsettling, especially when you've heard so much about Alzheimer's and dementia. But here's something important to understand. Occasional forgetfulness is a completely normal part of aging and is very different from dementia. Your brain processes information a bit more slowly with age, but that doesn't mean it's declining in any dangerous way. In fact, research shows that certain types of thinking, like wisdom, pattern recognition, and emotional regulation, actually improve with age. Today, we'll separate fact from fear and give you real tools to keep your mind sharp. Let's start by understanding what actually happens inside your brain as you age. Your brain contains roughly 86 billion neurons connected by trillions of synapses that allow information to flow. As we get older, some of these connections naturally weaken or are used less frequently, which can slow down processing speed. However, and this is crucial, your brain retains something called neuroplasticity. Throughout your entire life, this means your brain can continue forming new connections, learning new skills, and even growing new neurons well into your 80s and 90s. The old belief that the brain stops developing after a certain age has been completely disproven by modern neuroscience. Your brain is far more capable of change than you might think. Not all memory is the same, and understanding the different types can help you make sense of what's happening when you forget something. Working memory is what you use to hold information temporarily, like remembering a phone number just long enough to dial it. This type of memory does tend to decline somewhat with age. Long-term memory, especially memories tied to skills, experiences, and deeply learned information, tends to remain remarkably stable. This is why many older adults can vividly recall events from 50 years ago but struggle to remember what they had for breakfast. Knowing this distinction helps you understand that your brain isn't failing. Certain systems are simply working differently than they did before. Let's talk about the factors that can genuinely harm brain health over time. And the first one might surprise you: social isolation. Numerous studies have shown that loneliness and lack of social interaction are linked to a significantly increased risk of cognitive decline and dementia. Social interaction requires your brain to process language, read emotions, remember names and shared experiences, and respond in real time. It's essentially a full workout for your brain. When social connection decreases, especially after retirement or the loss of a spouse, the brain receives far less of this natural stimulation. This is one of the most overlooked but most powerful factors in long-term brain health, and we'll talk about practical solutions a bit later in this video. Cardiovascular health and brain health are far more connected than most people realize. Your brain requires about 20% of your body's total blood flow and oxygen supply, despite making up only about 2% of your body weight. Conditions like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and diabetes, which we covered in episode 2, can damage the small blood vessels that supply your brain, leading to a condition called vascular cognitive impairment. In fact, many cases of what appears to be age-related memory decline are actually related to poor blood flow to the brain rather than a degenerative brain disease itself. This means that everything you do for your heart also directly protects your brain. They are deeply interconnected systems. Chronic stress and poor sleep, which we discussed in detail in episode 3, also take a serious toll on brain health. When you're under chronic stress, your body produces elevated levels of cortisol, and prolonged exposure to high cortisol has been shown to shrink the hippocampus, the area of the brain responsible for forming new memories. Poor sleep is equally damaging because it's during deep sleep that your brain clears out waste products, including a protein called beta amyloid, which is strongly linked to Alzheimer's disease when it accumulates. This is why managing stress and prioritizing sleep aren't just about feeling good day to day, they are direct, science-backed investments in your long-term brain health and memory. Now let's move on to the good part, the activities that actively strengthen your brain. Cognitive exercises like crossword puzzles, Sudoku, jigsaw puzzles, and word games engage multiple areas of the brain simultaneously, including memory, problem-solving, and language centers. But here's an important tip. Novelty matters more than repetition. If you do the same crossword puzzle every day, your brain quickly adapts and stops being challenged. To get real benefits, mix things up, try a new type of puzzle, learn a new card game, or attempt a more difficult level than you're used to. Just 15 to 20 minutes a day of genuinely challenging mental activity has been shown to help maintain cognitive function over time. Learning a new skill is one of the most powerful things you can do for your brain at any age, and it doesn't matter what the skill is. Learning a new language, taking up a musical instrument, learning to paint, or even learning to use new technology all create entirely new neural pathways in the brain. This process, called neurogenesis, is most active when you're doing something that is both new and moderately challenging, not so easy that it's boring, but not so hard that it's frustrating. Research on older adults who learned a new language showed measurable improvements in memory and attention after just a few months. The key takeaway is this: your brain thrives on novelty, so make learning something new a regular part of your life. A group of older adults walking together, laughing in a park. Social atmosphere combined with physical activity creates a powerful double benefit for the brain. As we mentioned earlier, social interaction is essential for cognitive health, but when you combine it with physical movement, the benefits multiply. Group walks, dance classes, gardening clubs, or even a weekly card game with friends provide both the social stimulation and physical activity your brain craves. Physical exercise increases blood flow to the brain and stimulates the release of a protein called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which supports the growth of new neurons and protects existing ones. If you can combine social connection with movement even just twice a week, you're giving your brain one of the most powerful boosts available. Music has a remarkable and well-documented effect on the brain, both playing it and simply listening to it. Playing a musical instrument engages nearly every region of the brain at once: motor skills, memory, emotional processing, and auditory perception all work together simultaneously. Studies on older adults who took up music for the first time showed measurable improvements in memory, attention, and even mood after just a few months of practice. Even if you've never played an instrument before, it's never too late to start. Many seniors find learning piano or guitar later in life deeply rewarding. And if playing an instrument isn't for you, simply listening to music you love, especially music tied to meaningful memories, has been shown to activate brain regions associated with memory recall and emotional well-being. Just like your heart and bones, your brain has specific nutritional needs, and many of the foods that support heart health, which we discussed in episode 2, also directly support brain health. Blueberries and other dark berries are rich in antioxidants called flavonoids, which have been shown in studies to improve memory and slow age-related cognitive decline. Fatty fish like salmon and sardines provide omega-3 fatty acids, which make up a large portion of your brain's structure and are essential for healthy neuron function. Walnuts are particularly interesting. They actually resemble the shape of a brain, and research suggests they may improve cognitive performance due to their high omega-3 and antioxidant content. Dark leafy greens like spinach and kale provide vitamin K, folate, and lutein, all linked to slower rates of cognitive decline. The Mediterranean diet, which emphasizes olive oil, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, fish, and moderate amounts of dairy, has been studied extensively for its effects on brain health, and the results are impressive. People who follow this dietary pattern consistently show slower rates of cognitive decline and a significantly reduced risk of developing Alzheimer's disease compared to those who follow a typical Western diet high in processed foods and red meat. A related eating pattern called the MIND diet, which combines Mediterranean principles with specific brain-healthy foods like berries and leafy greens, has been associated with up to a 53% reduction in Alzheimer's risk in long-term studies. You don't need to follow any diet perfectly. Even moving in this direction with your everyday meals can make a meaningful difference for your brain over time. Mental health in older adults is just as important as physical health, yet it's often overlooked or dismissed as simply part of getting older. Depression and anxiety are not normal parts of aging, they are real, treatable conditions that affect millions of seniors, often without being recognized or discussed. Major life transitions like retirement, the loss of loved ones, health changes, or reduced mobility can all contribute to feelings of sadness, anxiety, or a loss of purpose. Journaling is one simple but powerful tool. Writing down your thoughts and feelings, even for just 10 minutes a day, has been shown to reduce anxiety and improve emotional processing. If you've been feeling persistently sad, hopeless, or anxious for more than 2 weeks, please talk to your doctor. These feelings are treatable, and you don't have to navigate them alone. Mindfulness and meditation have been extensively studied for their effects on both emotional well-being and brain structure. Regular meditation practice has been shown to reduce symptoms of anxiety and depression, lower stress hormone levels, and even increase the thickness of the prefrontal cortex, the area of the brain responsible for decision-making and emotional regulation. You don't need to meditate for hours to see benefits. Studies show that just 10 to 15 minutes a day of focused breathing or guided meditation can produce measurable changes within 8 weeks. There are many free guided meditation apps and videos designed specifically for beginners. Starting small and being consistent matters far more than doing long sessions occasionally. Maintaining a sense of purpose is one of the most underrated factors in emotional well-being for older adults. Research consistently shows that people who feel they have a reason to get up in the morning, whether it's caring for a pet, volunteering, mentoring, or staying connected with family, report significantly higher life satisfaction and lower rates of depression. This doesn't require anything grand. Regular video calls with grandchildren, volunteering a few hours a week, taking care of a garden, or even caring for a pet can all provide this sense of purpose. If you're feeling a lack of direction since retirement, consider what activities made you feel useful and engaged earlier in life, and look for ways to bring elements of that back into your daily routine. Let's bring everything together into a simple daily routine that supports both your brain and your emotional health. Start your morning with a few minutes of light movement, even just gentle stretching, to get blood flowing to the brain. Spend some time on a mentally engaging activity, a puzzle, reading, or learning something new. Make time for social connection, whether it's a phone call, a visit, or a community activity. Include brain-healthy foods like berries, fish, and leafy greens in your meals. And in the evening, take a few minutes to reflect through journaling or a short meditation practice. None of these steps need to take more than a few minutes. The power comes from doing them consistently, day after day. Let's recap everything we covered today. Your brain remains capable of growth and change throughout your entire life. This is called neuroplasticity. The biggest threats to brain health include social isolation, poor cardiovascular health, chronic stress, and poor sleep. The most powerful brain-boosting activities are mental challenges with novelty, learning new skills, social engagement combined with movement and music. Brain-healthy foods include berries, fatty fish, walnuts, and leafy greens, ideally following a Mediterranean-style eating pattern. And emotional well-being through journaling, mindfulness, and maintaining a sense of purpose is just as important as cognitive exercises. Pick one small change from today's video and start building it into your routine this week. I want to leave you with this thought. Your brain is not declining on a fixed and changeable path. It is constantly adapting to how you use it, what you feed it, and how connected you feel to the people and activities around you. Every small choice, a phone call to a friend, a new hobby, a walk outside, a healthy meal, is an investment in your cognitive future. You have far more influence over your brain health than the fear-based messaging out there would have you believe. Approach this with curiosity and consistency rather than anxiety, and you'll be amazed at what's possible. Here is your simple action plan for this week. First, choose one new mental activity, a puzzle, a language app, or a musical instrument, and try it for just 15 minutes a day. Second, reach out to one friend or family member you haven't spoken to in a while and schedule a call or visit. Third, add one brain-healthy food, like a handful of walnuts or a serving of berries, to your meals this week. And fourth, try 10 minutes of quiet reflection or meditation before bed. These small steps, repeated consistently, build the foundation for a sharp, resilient mind for years to come. Thank you so much for watching episode 4 of the Complete Guide to Healthy Aging. I hope this episode gave you a clearer, more hopeful picture of what's really possible for your brain health as you age. In episode 5, we'll be covering staying active, including simple, safe exercises you can do at home to build strength, balance, and flexibility. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss it. If this video helped you, please give it a like and share it with someone who might be worried about their memory. Drop a comment below. Which activity are you going to try first this week? See you in episode 5.